Family, welcome back. We're reading the Pocket Buddha, and we are in the section titled Sorrow, and let's begin. Ahita asked, "What is it that smothers the world and makes it so hard to see? What is it that pollutes the world and seems to threaten it?" The Buddha answered, "It's ignorance that smothers, and it is carelessness and greed that makes it invisible. The hunger of craving pollutes the world, and the pain of suffering causes the greatest fear." Sutta Nipata. "It seems as though the rivers of craving are running in every direction," said Ahita. "How can we dam them and hold them back? What can we use to close the floodgates?" The Buddha said, "Any river can be stopped with the Dam of Mindfulness." Look at that. Any river, so like when your certain thoughts just come flooding in, the dam you can put up is being mindful, right? Caring and thoughtfulness are flood stoppers. With wisdom you can close the floodgate. Sutta Nipata. If any recluse or followers do not understand objectivity, that the enjoyment of sense pleasures is enjoyment, that the unsatisfactoriness of their passing is unsatisfactoriness, and that liberation from their tyranny is liberation, then it's not possible that they will properly understand what the desire for sense pleasure is, or that they will be able to bring anyone else to understand it. But if they do understand objectively, the arising and ceasing of sense pleasures. I like that. See, the arising, so when they come in, and then when they cease of sense pleasures, right? Their frequent unsatisfactoriness and the way to freedom from attachment to them. They will be able to instruct other people to that end. Mahima Nikaya. You should inquire deeply and directly into the distress of the mind. So many people, they fear to go into the mind, right? To be alone with their thoughts. I mean, it's quite interesting. And find out what has been created and who is self that is suffering. Without this understanding, you can't develop clarity in the ability to help others. A person must be expert at undoing knots, but if he never sees that there is a knot in front of him, how will he undo it? That really gets me thinking, You gotta have some practice undoing those knots, right? How will he undo it? Without clear and direct looking. You will be locked into time and space. Look at that, locked into time and space. And unable to free yourself from the material world. Surangama Sutra. The next section is titled Truth. The Kalamas of Kesaputta came to the Buddha and said, "There are some monks and teachers who come to Kesaputta. They talk a lot about their own ideas, but they despise and take to pieces the views of others. As we listen to them, we can't help feeling some doubt. We waver between who is telling the truth and who is telling lies. It's a good thing that you have to doubt. You may well waver, for your wavering is all to do with a matter that is wide open to doubt. So listen to me, Kalamas. Don't go by gossip and rumor." It's hard not to, because sometimes certain gossips can be true, and other times rumors can be true, because, and sometimes they won't be. So it really varies, doesn't it? Because a rumor can turn out to be true, like with Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, right? There was rumors about them that did turn out to be true, but people didn't really do anything about it, and it was allowed to flourish. However, let's say you hear some, oh, so-and-so did this, and it turns out not to be true, and you make a grave mistake because you didn't find out the evidence, right? It's so, inquiry seems to be a big piece of it, doesn't it? nor by what's told you by others, nor by what you hear said, nor even by the authority of your traditional teachings. Don't go by reasoning. I would kind of disagree with that right there. Nor by inferring one thing from another. I mean, that's kind of how science works, though, right? Nor by argument about methods, nor from liking an opinion, nor from awe of the teacher and thinking he must be deferred to. Instead, Kalamas, when you know from within yourselves that certain teachings are not good, that when put into practice they lead to loss and suffering, you must then trust yourselves and reject them. Anguttara Nikaya. I agree with if you put something into practice and it's just leading to like terrible loss and extreme suffering, and you're like, you know what, this isn't working, that makes sense, right? Because if you think about it, for the Buddhists at least, the goal is to get rid of suffering as much as you can, right? To be able to overcome it and not be a slave to it. So that makes sense from their perspective, right? Saka asked the Buddha, do different religious teachers head for the same goal, or practice the same disciplines, or aspire to the same thing? No, Saka, they do not. And why? This world is made up of a myriad of different states of being. Exactly, there's different states of being. And people adhere to one or another of these states and become tenaciously possessive of them, saying, this alone is true, everything else is false. It is like a territory that they believe is theirs. So all religious teachers do not teach the same goal or the same discipline, nor do they aspire to the same thing. Interesting assertion there. But if you find truth in any religion or philosophy, then accept that truth without prejudice. Digha Nikaya. A questioner asked the Buddha, life seems a tangle, an inner tangle and an outer tangle. This generation is hopelessly tangled up. And so I asked the Buddha this question. Who will succeed in distangling this tangle? The Buddha replied, when a wise one, thoughtful and good, develops a greater consciousness, he will understand the tangle, as truth follower, ardent and wise. He will succeed in distangling the tangle. Samyutta Nikaya. Tangle, right? Like just unending knots, like you don't know where it's going, and it's like a net, like a tangleness net, right? The truth is noble and sweet. The truth can free you from all ills. There is no savior in the world like the truth. Have confidence in the truth, even though you may not be able to understand it, even though its sweetness has bitter edge, even though at first you may shrink from it. Trust in the truth. The truth is best as it is. No one can alter it, neither can anyone improve it. That's an interesting thought. No one can improve it. I think like the truth, the highest truth, right? What truth is with a capital T. You definitely cannot change it, but there are definitely people who seek to mask it and manipulate it, right? The self is in a fever. The self is forever changing like a dream, but the truth is whole, sublime, and everlasting. Nothing is immortal except the truth, for truth alone exists forever. Mahima Nikaya. The truth exists alone forever. That's a beautiful thing. From time to time there appears in this world one who has seen the truth, a fully awakened one, blessed by the truth, abounding in happiness, a teacher of wisdom and goodness, a Buddha. So what's a Buddha? Essentially, contending here, it's a teacher of wisdom and goodness, right? Not somebody who's pretending to be a god. He by himself thoroughly knows and sees this universe, and knowing it, he makes his knowledge known to others. The truth, lovely in its origin, lovely in its progress, lovely in its consummation, he proclaims, a new life he makes known, in all its fullness. Teviga Sutta. New life he makes known in all its fullness. When he was dying, the Buddha said to his followers, "Hold fast to the truth as a lamp that shines in the darkness. Seek salvation in the truth alone. Those who either know or after I am dead hold fast to the truth as their lamp and do not look for light from anywhere else. It is they who will reach Nirvana." Mahima Nikaya. Those who argue and discuss without understanding the truth are lost amid all the forms of relative knowledge, running about here and there trying to justify their view of the substance of ego. If you realize the self in your innermost consciousness, it will appear in its purity. This is the womb of wonder, which is not the realm of those who live only by reason. Pure in its own nature and free from the categories of finite and infinite, universal mind is the undefiled wonder. Universal mind. Look at that. Universal mind. Which is wrongly apprehended by many. Lankavatara Sutra. If you look at that, if you realize the self in your innermost consciousness, it will appear in its purity. Wow. So to realize it, that's like, it's going to appear to be pure. The womb of wonder. Isn't that a clever way to put it? Because like wonder grows, right? A womb, protection, everything is provided. Wonder always doesn't cease to feed you, right? Wonder. Well, it can cease, but it might not always cease, as they say. Without understanding the truth. If you argue and discuss without understanding the truth, you can get there by talking, but you shouldn't get aggressive, right? If you haven't fully explored what truth is, and I think truth, you have to investigate it. You have to seek for it. You can't just point to one thing after the first thing you investigated and say this is it, right? You kind of have to inquire. All right, family. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and I hope your quarantine is going good.